Disneyland news time. All the headlines, all of the topics coming out of the Disneyland Resort worth touching on. And this week we begin by chatting with you a little bit about how Disneyland has now set forth an official reopening date. If you haven't heard, April the 30th is when Disneyland theme parks will officially be reopening. However, they are going to be reopening for California residents only. So this is something that we are getting a lot of questions about. People are interested in how that's going to be enforced, how that's going to be set up. NPR.org wrote the following saying, it's time for Californians to dig their Mickey Mouse ears out of storage. Disneyland Park and Disneyland California Adventure Park will reopen their gates to state residents on April 30th, more than a year after shutting down due to the coronavirus pandemic. The Anaheim, California-based theme parks will reopen at limited capacity and in line with state public health requirements, Disney CEO Bob Chapek told CNBC, saying, quote, "It's been a long, long time since we've been able to create magic for our guests and put our cast members back to work and help the associated businesses around the Anaheim area that currently depend on Disneyland for their livelihood. It's going to be a great opportunity for us, I think, to bring that magic back to everyone involved." Now, in addition to this news, April the 29th is when Disney's Grand Californian Hotel will be reopening. And keep in mind also that the DVC units, Disney Vacation Club, will also be opening a little bit later, a couple days later, as a matter of fact, more towards the May section of the calendar year. So interesting to hear that Disneyland is opening to California residents only. They've made note of that. The state regulations sort of required at the moment. The interesting thing about that, why I keep saying interesting, is there's been no real way publicized as to how they're going to enforce this, Katrina. I mean, just checking IDs, what are they going to do?
I feel like they might do ID, was it ID.me or something, how they're doing it for pretty much anything to like check your identification. So maybe when you buy the ticket, it'll take you to ID me. And then you have to put your like ID in, so it actually shows that you have residency and you have like an ID showing your residency.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that program.
So like I remember doing it because I had to get the real ID because I had to renew my ID in August. So I was like, well, might as well just do the real ID so I don't have to deal with it next year. And then to do that, I had to download or DMV partnered up with ID Me. And then I just showed like, a couple pieces of my bills to show my address, my driver's license, my passport. And then within like 2 seconds, they're like, okay, you're good. And then you just bring a copy in showing that you did this, and then you're good to go at the DMV. They didn't need to like really check anything else. And then they did it with a couple other places too to check your ID. And it's like simple, like it's just a third party site. And then you go to your, your normal site, and then it takes you to ID Me. You put in your whatever ID you need to put in, and then you're good to go. Well, it's simple.
Can't they just check from your credit card?
No, because I have another billing address.
Okay.
For mine.
That's true.
So I use my mommy's house. Anyway, whatever. TMI.
And mommy is
my mommy.
Out of state?
Yeah, she's
in
Oregon.
Yeah.
So.
But I use my mom's, and she lives in Oregon. But I feel like I think if they showed your ID like at the ticket booth, it's gonna cause problems, right? Because then you're gonna show up, you forgot it. You're gonna hold up the line, and there's gonna be problems, right? So I don't know if I don't know if they would do that though, because it would just cause problems. Because then you might have like a family, and then one family member, you might have an ID that's California, but then this other person has Wyoming, and then they're like, oh, I'm sorry, you can't come, and they're like, well, I didn't know that, and then it would cause tons of problems. Sure. And then what are you gonna do? Disney can't be like the bad guy and be like, well, you can come in, you can't. So
no, I think they're gonna. I think they very much have to do that.
They have to, but it's gonna cause a lot of problems. Again, like that. How long is that gonna take in line when there's like 45 other people behind you taking 30 minutes of your time, and then you have to move aside, and then it's just problems. So I feel like they have to use an exterior site.
I've been saying for years and years, you should buy your tickets before you get to Disneyland. But
I mean, I know you still see that line like.
Really you're like, long. Wow, suckers, what are you doing here?
Yeah, it makes you
Yikes.
wonder if it's going to be. I mean, they haven't released any details as to how it's going to work, and obviously there's going to be a park reservation system process like they have for Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
We know that's coming. They've already talked about it, but how they enforce this first leg of things with just California residents, and for how long? I mean, obviously he has to deal with the tier process that we have here in California, different colors allowing the regions of the state to reopen at different levels. So that has to be factored in for our outside of California viewers, you know, the folks that don't understand how things are working here. It is kind of complicated. I mean, there's a lot to it, you know, and a lot to understand as to how it all works, but
California is so complicated.
yeah, it always has to be. Yeah. So I wonder if this is going to be something where they legitimately check it on the website, or if it's just going to be like an honor system sort of thing.
Do a test, like there's like a little box at the bottom. Yes, I am a California resident.
Of course I live here.
I live here, but I don't have proof that I live here,
Right.
or something like that. Because they might just do IDs. I don't know if they're going to be like, let me see your utility bill,
right?
or
now,
something
you have tens
like
of
that.
thousands of people that are flying into this state every day and have been the entire pandemic. So you know, it's not like this rule is going to truly root out anything that isn't already here in terms of people that are coming across state lines and people that are, you know, currently in the communities right now. So it seems like an odd thing to want to do, you know, on the front end, but this is how it's reopening, so this is what we need to deal with,
I guess. And then my other question is like, how are they gonna are they gonna be really good at this, or are they gonna allow like news crews from exterior states to come in and film Disneyland and stuff? Because then that goes against everything California
I don't think they have a
rules are
choice,
meant
though.
for.
Yeah, I don't think they have a choice. I think they would be directly opposing what the state is telling them they have to do if they were going to be inviting people from out of state.
and you know the state regulators will be there watching. I mean,
I'm sure
Newsom's
they
like
will
right
be.
there in the beginning, like through the bars, being
They
like,
can't
I'm
wait.
watching you.
Exactly, yeah. So it's one of those things where they're going to be on, you know, they're going to be very much on display for a while, and they would rather follow the rules than be shut down again, trust me. So there's no way they're going to be inviting people from Florida or whatever, you know, to come over here.
I
It's
hope
just-
so.
Hopefully it's just a short-lived thing. You know, at the rate in which numbers continue to drop and things continue to be cleared. I mean, it's wonderful news across the board, and things keep getting sort of the green light, if you will, all over the place within the state. So I mean, it's terrific news, and like I said, hopefully it won't last very long, so we could just move on from it, and it won't have to be.
Yeah, how long do you think it's gonna last? Like a month or
restrictive.
two?
Yeah, I mean, I think that'll
The
be
way
probably
we're
about it.
progressing so fast, it's like, oh, we're in the red tier all of a sudden. Wow. Oh, okay, we're going in the orange tier soon.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
things just keep sliding along, which is great news. And you know, one of the other pieces of great news that is coming out of Disneyland's reopening announcement for April 30th is that there are going to be a handful of things coming back online during that time. As we mentioned, Disney's Grand Californian Hotel coming back on April the 29th. Disneyland Hotel and Paradise Pier Hotel, the other two resort hotel properties at Disneyland, will not be reopening at this time, but the Grand will. So that is an option, I guess, for California residents only. I mean, I suppose you
I'll
could
stay there. I'm super excited.
You could stay at the Grand, I guess, from being out of state. You just can't go into the parks. So I don't think they're checking anybody, you know, coming into the hotel.
You technically
from out of
could, if you
state.
got a balcony, you could be inside the park
That's a good point.
for a moment, for like two sides of the park, technically. So
Yeah.
hey,
I'm watching from my balcony. Hello, California Adventure.
show me some popcorn and a churro, please.
Yeah. Throw down my locks and climb on up. Yes. Well, one of the best pieces of news is that Snow White's Enchanted Wish, the attraction that had been worked on just prior to the theme park itself closing down last year, Disneyland that is, was something that we were wondering, you know, is it going to be ready in time for the reopening? And then as months passed, it became very clear that it's ready to go. It was ready to go the whole time. You know, they had several months where they were able to work on it, and now officially it will be reopening on April the 30th with Disneyland. So Snow White's Enchanted Wish, with some sort of rethought ways in which they do this story for this attraction, not so terrifying anymore as it was for many children that went on this ride. Not necessarily something that's going to be freaking them out as much. It's going to be a little bit more magical, a little bit more whimsical, a little bit more fun. I know we've talked about it before, as you know, the discussion regarding this being ready in time, and you know, this new ride sort of being rethought as a classic attraction. It's going to be great to have Snow White on the docket when the park reopens.
I'm excited to see what they added.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited that they're actually like allowing this to like be open for April 30th.
Yeah.
Actually, because at first we were kind of like, is it going to be open? Like, are they actually going to allow it? And they are. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, there's a couple different things. I mean, within the park atmosphere too, where Fantasyland in particular, it's so landlocked. Like it's such a tight space that I don't think we're going to see everything open in that land. I don't think they can for the sake of having to do social distancing the way that they're required to. So I think that you're going to see some attractions not come back, even if they are completely outdoors, even if they are, meeting the criteria. This one starts outside technically, and then, has an open window basically, and then moves inside. So I don't think that that's going to restrict things too much, but definitely nice to hear that Snow White will be joining the lineup. In addition to that, something that is a little confusing at the moment is whether or not the Haunted Mansion will officially be on the docket for reopening. It was in the opening announcement, but as sort of an aside to what they were talking about in terms of coming back. So Rise of the Resistance was mentioned as something that was going to be coming back online when the park reopened, and then Haunted Mansion. There was an additional paragraph blurb in the official announcement talking about how Disneyland has created some new magic within the Haunted Mansion, and that the new magic is something that will delight everybody that comes to the Haunted Mansion. They just didn't specify what it was.
It's a second Hatbox Ghost.
I know, right? I was like, what more do we need besides our Hatbox Ghost? Maybe the ending scene when like Disney World has theirs, where they have the hitchhiking ghost and they have that little animatronic at the end.
Yeah,
man, that'd be so cool. I was like, man, that'd be really cool if we got that too. I hope so.
Wouldn't that be something?
That'd be really cool if we got that cool effect.
Do you have any speculation as to what it might be? It's so out of left field.
That's actually the best speculation I feel like I've heard. I couldn't even tell you, but what I do like about Haunted Mansion, I feel like this, and you guys correct me if maybe I'm kind of thinking about it too much, but I feel like Haunted Mansion, almost in a way, is like a place for certain Imagineers to be able to like play around with, ideas of the future. And so it's really cool to me, like that they kind of every few years I feel like Haunted Mansion gets this cool upgrade of new technology that we then see start to appear in other parks and attractions. And so I think that's really neat, and I love that they keep on doing it. So I'm excited to see what they put in there. I mean, I know they were painting everything, so I know we're going to see a bunch of new paint. But besides that, man, there could be a lot of fun stuff.
Maybe they're gonna get rid of that hideous bride at the beginning, or right before you see the Hatbox Ghost, and like actually put something better.
Yes, get
like
rid of that bride.
Hologram
put a good bride
lady,
in there. I mean, the bride is especially bad when you see the Hatbox Ghost right afterwards.
Yeah,
like it's just like it's like a stuffed pillow followed by the most incredible animatronic you've ever seen in your life. Like,
yeah, that'd be. I mean, can't you do something like what Anna and Elsa look like at least, or something like
that would be nice.
Some kind of cool effect, and then you can keep the face, fake, and then just I don't know. Maybe it's her. I don't know. Those are my two guesses. The
They've
end
had a lot of time.
or the middle, right before Hatbox Ghost. Get rid of that bride and change it up to make it look cooler, because that Hatbox Ghost, man.
Yeah,
I love it. It's the best, especially during Christmas too, when he's like all dressed up and stuff.
Yeah.
Gray in the chat is saying Eddie Murphy makes an appearance.
Wouldn't that be something? Just screaming from room to room. Every scene you come into, he's just screaming in one way or another. Yeah,
like
the whole time.
I'm into it.
Just like the movie.
I can imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah, a throwback, an audio animatronic to Eddie Murphy. That would be fantastic. Well, it has been closed, obviously just prior to Disneyland itself shutting down last year. Haunted Mansion was being worked on just like Snow White. And so, yeah, it's kind of up in the air. I am seeing it reported in different places. It's just Disney was kind of skirted the announcement that it would be available on that date of reopening. And the other thing that comes to mind is how the ride itself operates. And in Walt Disney World, Haunted Mansion at the moment is set in a way where you don't do the stretching room when you arrive anymore. You just walk right through, so they can continue loading people.
We can't do that.
But you can't really do that here because of how it's set up mechanically. So I don't know necessarily how they're gonna load things.
You just drop now. You're just like, whoop, get out.
Maybe only a handful of people at a time.
I think they'll just separate everybody. Like if you've gone and done Rise of the Resistance in Florida, like when you go to the first pre-show room, they literally just have different little stickers on the ground that are and each sticker has its own kind of like plexiglass kind of surrounding it, so so they start that pre-show and everybody has their own little corner. So I would assume that's what they're going to do for
But that's
Haunted
that
Mansion
bottom
as well.
section's gonna be a problem. Remember, like during Christmas, like you'll get out of the elevator and then there's still like a swarm of people outside the elevator ready to get on the ride. And you're like, whoa!
They're going to be.
you have to like move to the side.
They're going to be letting less people.
Well,
in.
obviously.
Yeah. So.
But I like they would have to like keep that ride like moving all the time to like get the elevators. Oh man, that's a nightmare. Gosh, I'm so sorry, operations.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's gonna be
which is
tough.
why it wasn't very clear, because they didn't say specifically Haunted Mansion would be open, but it was heavily implied because it came right after the news of what would be. So it kind of implies that it will.
Yeah.
So I hope so. I just don't know how they're going to do it. It'll be great to see whatever new magic. It's odd to me that they're not promoting what the new magic is. Why say that? And not
because
say
they
what's
want
gonna
people
happen?
to go.
Go figure it
they
out.
have to pay to find out.
Go figure it
Come
out.
on.
Yeah, the mystery has always been the thing of the Haunted Mansion, right? I mean, it sat there for years with no attraction even happening. So I
Just
think,
a shell on a hill.
yeah, I think all you have to do is tell Haunted Mansion people that something new is happening, and we're all talking, but we wouldn't have talked about it for nearly as long if we knew exactly what it was. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
And you remember when Hatbox Ghost was released? Like we stood in line for hours just to get in.
Yeah, we
and
got
then
there.
we like
Yep.
like we didn't run because you're
Yeah.
not supposed to run. Disney.
You don't run.
I
Yeah.
hinged my butt and walked very fast, as fast as I could, and got in line.
we got a fast pass. One of us got a fast pass, and then
Stood
the other
in
one was
line.
stood in line, and then we just.
Then we
did
got to
it two
go
times,
twice.
so-
It's a hell of an effect.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
But man, I am excited to find out. Maybe they'll do it like April 30th. They'll release the information, and so everybody can find out that. But you already booked your tickets, so they already have your money. So
That's
then they'll
true.
say it on April 30th.
They've
This
had a
is
long
our
time.
little new attraction.
Long time to figure out and to tinker and toy with what's inside. And also looking forward to some of the infrastructure work that they've done over the course of time that we've heard about, the widening of the entrances to, say, Frontierland, Adventureland, that sort of thing. They've been able to do a lot of groundwork, if you will, that they weren't able to do because Disneyland was open all the time. It was very hard to do that around crowds, especially record crowds that they were seeing constantly. So it's nice that they were able to do this during an off time and sort of come up with a way in which to not inconvenience people that will be there.
Yeah, what were
It's
they
true.
calling that whole thing? Project
Stardust?
Stardust,
Yeah, and
yeah.
then so like it's kind of funny. I mean, there's no way they could have known, but they spent so much time restructuring the park for more people, and then all the people disappeared.
Yeah, right. Well,
Sad.
all in
Well,
preparation
in a couple years.
for when the
Yeah.
crowds return.
Yeah. Oh no,
That's right, yeah.
no, it was they definitely needed to do it. Don't get me wrong.
It
It's
was
just
long overdue.
yeah.
And can't wait to see, finally when Tomorrowland does its new entrance, its new mock-up for its entrance. It wasn't something that when we originally talked about it, we were all thrilled over, because it's just kind of putting lipstick on a pig, if you will, and
Yeah.
still a pig, unfortunately, Tomorrowland, but hopefully it's the precursor of something more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
The People
more
Mover
Tomorrowland.
2.0.
Yeah, just fix Tomorrowland for us, please. That's all we want to see.
Please. Even when they did, just real quick, even when they did the Star Wars stuff and they put the lights and the fog machines on top of the building,
Yeah.
that
so
even
cool.
made a huge difference. Just do something like that. Okay, enough.
Yeah, more lipstick.
Yeah, more lipstick.
Yeah, that's right.
Just for real, please do something. Just
Just put
Hey,
a
something.
sparkle in your lipstick a
That's
little
all
bit.
we want. Yeah. Well, let us know in the comments what you think that new magic is going to be when it comes to the Haunted Mansion. What are they talking about? What do you think is going to be there for us, hopefully upon return, if not just a little bit later? And we would love to hear your perspective.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.